The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen.
Okay, looks like the recorder has started. So whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this on the replay, I'm so glad that you're here. Today's webinar is going to be on how to fix the top 5 gaps. Can't show you every gap, but I'm going to show you top 5 gaps in Microsoft Dynamics NAV software. Today's Wednesday, April the 25th, and this is a live presentation. Now, just to be sure you know who I am, my name is Rick Baxter. I'm with Cost Control Software. I'm located in Carmel, Indiana. That's just north of Indianapolis. My job, just so you know, is I kind of help NAV users and resellers, maybe like yourself, get the most from your software investment. It's really important to me, even personally to me, to be sure that you really utilize your Microsoft Dynamics NAV software to its fullest extent. And today I'm going to show you 5 of these, what I consider gaps in manufacturing and how we can fix them. So it's really want to be sure you have a clear understanding of what the gaps are and how this goes. So let me get this thing started. So you may have this study guide. By the way, I think Ben sent this study guide to most of you. I'll be using this as I go along today. I just kind of scroll down through it. I don't use a PowerPoint. I use this study guide. It is available in the handout section of the GoToWebinar, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work as far as being able to open that up and follow along. If you don't have this handy, don't worry about it. You'll be just fine. Sit back, relax, and we'll just watch up here on the screen. Let me see if I can get this. Okay. Okay, so we're going to start with gap number 1, okay, and how to fix it. So the first gap that I feel is that NAV manufacturing out of the box, the way it comes out of the box, is just not enough. It doesn't have what I would consider a user-friendly interface. And there's some key features as well that it needs to have. And so here's how I'm going to do this presentation today. I've got NAV open twice on my screen. So let me move this down. In fact, I'm just going to, I think I'll just park this for a second. And so I'll just kind of explain how I've got my screens organized. On the right side of the screen, I've got the fix side, and on the left side, I've got the out of the box with the production scheduler. So this is the way you may have your role center set up, and on the right side is the way I have the role center set up. So the first thing I want to just talk about is a production order itself, because really the main part of manufacturing is these production orders and the type of information that's available on a production order. So let me just, I'm going to bring up the this is the out of the box Kronos database, and let me just edit this production order. And so a production order card has basic information on it. It's got the item, it's got the part number, it's got the description of the item, how many you're producing, and a due date. That's all standard stuff. It's got on the lines down here either one or multiple lines, depending on whether you're using make to order and have multiple sub-assemblies showing on the lines of the production order. You've got start dates, end times, you've got quantities. What else we got here? Some cost information. This is the general layout of the screen. The first thing I'm going to call your attention to is when you want to see the routing of this production order, which the routing to me is one of the most important parts of a production order, even more important than the bill of materials. But if you want to see the routing, what you do is you come up here to line, and then you come down here to routing and click that, and then it opens up and shows the routing. So I contend that's a little bit cumbersome, and I want to show you an alternative. So let's just close this for a minute, and I'm going to go over to the fix screens. So I'm going to open up the production orders over here. I've got a bicycle. I've got a bigger list. That's not the difference I'm going to show you here. So I'm going to open up this. This is our version of a production order. What we use with Manufacturing Plus is the solution that I recommend here. And here's the bicycle. It shows the production BOM and routing and some dates, and there's maybe a little more information across here, such as the estimated cost, material cost, estimated capacity cost. So it shows some little more information on the lines, as well as I want you to notice the choice routing right here on the menu. So rather than having to go over here to lines and do a drop down to get to the routing's so important in your business, you want to be able to just click and instantly it opens up the routing right here on screen. Now, it's not only important for that, but it's important to see all the related information to the routing, such as the starting dates, the ending dates, the times, the status of the routing. You need to show that. You need to show if you have actually produced quantity on each of these operational steps, and then the remaining quantity is going to be showing here as well. Now you may think in your software, and I want to challenge you to go back and look at your software after you've seen this and say, do I show the remaining quantity on each operational step? Because you can post partial productions on each of the steps within your production order, and out of the box you can't see this remaining quantity. So we've enhanced the routing as well, showing the routing link codes, the routing status, then the setups and times, all of that information on the screen. And while I'm here, I want to show one other thing that I think is extremely important. Let me move this a little bit out of my way. And that's on the right side. I'm going to call your attention to the right side of the screen. This is expected cost, and it shows the material cost, capacity cost. If you have subcontractors, I don't on this one, but if you did, they would show up here. If you have any subcontracted cost, and then a total cost, and then it simply divides by the quantity, 27, that you're making, so you know what the cost per unit is. That's showing down here. So that, and then the actual costs are there as well. Actual material costs, this is from the actual postings and what the cost per unit is and parts per hour and so forth. So a lot of statistical information available right here on screen. And again, if we go back and look at more or less the out of the box version, there is no statistics here. You've got to find it up here. Here it is. Statistics, and you have to open it up. It has to calculate, and so this is the out of the box statistics. I think it's much more effective as far as usability to see those statistics in real time right here on screen. Okay, I hope you like this concept. Let me go back to our study guide for a second. Okay, so notice, and I wanted to put a printout in your study guide as well. And I've put in here too, you'll see everything is there. Order tracking, routing, the components, the component material availability, the item tracking lines, the production journal. All these things that you get to on a regular basis are just instantly available right here on screen. So it's so much easier to maneuver in the system. And then the other thing, which I guess I've already shown you, this one is the expected cost and actual cost. It's important to have those fact boxes right there on screen, not only on the list. Now look at this. This picture in your handout is from the list. So this is the list of production orders. You don't even have to open up the associated production order card to see the statistics on how you're doing on a given production order. So important. Okay, real-time information access, because the complaints I hear from so many users is I know the information's in there and I can't get it out. I can't get access to the information that I expect to have out of the box. So this is, again, it's a minor change, but it is absolutely critical to being able to know what's going on in each of your production orders. Okay, now there's one other thing I do want to show you that I really didn't even have on your handout, and I just at the last minute I thought, oh, I'm going to show one more thing. So let me move the study guide out of the way, and I'm going to go to my firm planned production order. So I'm going to go back to the roll center, and I want to go to this one. So bear with me here. Let's come back here. So I'm going to come to firm planned production orders, and I'm going to open up this particular order. And I want to show you one other little feature that we've added to the software that many people have requested over time, and we've included this with our functionality called Manufacturing Plus. So what you're seeing here is the filling that gap is using Manufacturing Plus, and that's this material constraint date. There's an ability to calculate the component availability. So now we're talking about the raw materials, the components that go into a production order, and when will they be available? Because you don't want to start a production order unless you've got the materials on hand to do the work. So you really shouldn't even start a line of a production order until you've got the components. So we've added some functionality here to calculate that. I'm not going to run it right here, but I do want to show you what happens when it does. It puts in this date here. It also goes to the component lines. It analyzes all the component list, and it's going to flag in red, big and bold here, any components that are going to have a late availability date. So if they're going to be late, we want to know. And so it's going to show up here. It's going to show up also on the routing. So if I go back to the routing and look at the routing lines, we put it here as well. So here's that material constraint date. So you don't want to start, in other words, the first step of your first operation of your routing, you don't want to start until you've got all the materials available. So we've added functionality. This is part of Manufacturing Plus to assist you in calculating that if there and looking to see if there are any constraints. Now, I've just mentioned about maybe four different features that are available to you with this product called Manufacturing Plus. Let me go back to the Roll Center. You'll see what I'm talking about here. So here it is right here, Manufacturing Plus. And this is the Roll Center that we ship. And it's got, all your production orders. It's got access to your sales orders, your purchase orders, easy access. I'm a firm believer that you've got to have quick and easy access to the things that you use on a regular basis. So we've just designed a very, what I'd consider professional, easy to use work center designed specifically, Roll Center specifically designed for manufacturing. Okay, let's go back to the study guide. Well, first of all, let me ask a quick question here, and you can put some comments in. Do you like what I've shown you so far? You can put in yes, no, makes sense, I like it, don't like it, this is really good stuff. Put that in the question box just to give me a little feedback if we're tracking here okay. Take just a second. Somebody just put in a little, yeah, this is good stuff, Rick, I want to see more. You like it, don't like it, let me know. Okay, Jason says, yes, these are useful tips. Keep tracking on. Yeah, and Scott says, oh, yeah, good. Joel says, yes, good. Okay, excellent. Okay, I'm getting some good feedback here. All right, so let's take a look at number 2. So this is the number 2 gap. Okay, the number 2 gap in manufacturing is employee self-service. I think it's very important to let the employees record their time, because we're talking about time collection, okay, and being able to scan their production order time. So let's take a look at how it works out of the box, and then I'll show you an alternative to being able to do that. So let me, I'm going to just park this. So I'm going to talk about the out of the box, and then I'm going to talk about what you can do with a properly set up traveler and scheduling scanning tool. So let me move this out of the way. So let's look first at the out of the box over here on the left. The way it works here, you come in, you open up a production order. You guys have probably done this already. Come down to the lines to this thing called production journal. And then here is where you can actually record the amount of setup time and runtime on each of the operations on the production order. The problem to me is this just says the amount of time. It's not specific to an employee. I really want my particular resource to record the amount of time that they spent on whether it was setup time or runtime on a given production order. I want them some kind of way for them to clock in and clock out. This looks to me to be pretty awkward, and then once this is entered, then you post this information. I just don't think this is set up as well as it needs to be. So here's the alternative. Let me close out of this, and I think I will go back to this Roll Center. Okay, so I'm going to park this, and I'm going to park this screen. And I'm going to open up a brand new screen called Manufacturing Time Entry. Okay, now this is, put that in the middle of the form. Okay, so this is what you would have out on the shop floor. They wouldn't have NAV on the shop floor at all. They would just have this one screen. And the first question is employee ID. Oh, I didn't show you the traveler. Oh gosh, I'm going to go back because this is really important here. So on the production order, I got to show you this one thing, so bear with me. And what order did I want to use here? Hold on. 09. Okay, so I'm going to go to this one right here. So let me just edit this production order card, and I'm going to print what's called the job card. Job card is like a traveler, and for this order, released order number 9, 40,009, and I'll preview it on the screen so you guys can see it on screen. So here is the traveler. Let's make this a little bit bigger for you. I'll zoom in. And so the key to this traveler is that it's got barcodes. So out of the box, there are no barcodes. So that's the first difference. With the traveler that's provided with manufacturing reports is that you've got this nicely loaded barcodes on the traveler. It's got the production order number is barcoded, the item number is barcoded, and the operation number is barcoded. So an employee can just scan, and they enter, and then they go and work. Okay, the next or they scan out, that type of thing. So I want to show you how this works. Now I know, unfortunately, I don't have my webcam on and you can't see me here, but I've got a nice little scanner in my hand. And what I'm going to do, let's get out of these things for just a minute. Let's go. I want you to experience this like the employee would experience it. Here we go. Okay, so this is what the employee sees on the screen. So the first thing is somebody is going to come up and they're going to scan their badge. So I'm going to scan Mark's badge. So Mark's basically now clocked in. Now he's already clocked in. Let me clock him out. I want to do this one more time. So I'm going to pick Mark one more time. Okay, so we've got Mark. And what production order number is he working on? So again, he would have the traveler handy. He would bring that up and he would scan that first barcode, and which is the job number, and it displays it there on the right side to kind of confirm it as well. Then it's going to ask for the item number, so he's going to scan the next number. That's the finished good number. And the reason that you've got two there is because a lot of our customers have multi-line production orders where they have several line items on the production order. Variant is optional. I'm going to skip that one. Let's go down to the operation. So they would scan the operation, which is operation 10 in this case. That's the machine department. And then they would clock in. And even I was going to push with the mouse, then I realized, no, I should scan that clock in. So here's clock in. So I just clock in, and the screen instantly clears, and Mark walks away and starts working on whatever it is that he clocked into. So there's this clock in and clock out philosophy. Clock in, clock out. The timer is going constantly, so it's got the date and time constantly going in the background. So if somebody else comes up, let's do one more here. So I'll have Linda come up. So Linda scans in. She's already, what just happened, she was already clocked in to this job. And actually this is the same job, same operation. So it just confirms it here, and then you would do a clock in. Actually, that's a clock in to another job. So let's do Linda again then. Okay, and instead of the scanner, no, I'm sorry, clock out. Okay, now Linda. Okay. So I want to show you one other thing, is that Linda can select from the list. So this little option here, if you want to have her switch from one job to a different job, you can basically have, just use the lookups. Okay, you can use the lookups here. I'm working on the back wheel, and I'm working on a certain operation. I'm doing deburring, that kind of thing, and then clock in. I'm sorry, clock out. And so this is a design screen to enable the employees to record their time to production orders. This is manufacturing time entry. By the way, we also have one for jobs. For those of you that use job costing, there's a similar looking screen for posting job time as well. But this one is specific to manufacturing because it's all about production orders. Now, I believe I put, let me just, I'm going to close out of that. I believe I put in your handout. There's the example of the traveler that I showed you, and here is the a picture, just so you can remember later, a picture of the screen, okay, for collecting time. Now, I am curious. I don't think everybody on the call will have an application for doing time entry. I've got to be realistic here. But I am curious if anybody on the call would have a need for employees to record their time this way. Would this make sense? So just type in the question box, yes or no, whether you have an application for employees to do a little self-service and record their time. What this is doing, it's allocating their time to production orders. Okay, because this would then send it to the screen from there. Okay, so Joel is saying yes. Scott is big and bold, all yes caps exclamation mark. Thank you, Scott. Great. Jason says I've seen this need multiple times, so that's good. Mostly for mechanical associated to the setup time. Okay, so you could record. So there's a place down here for scrap, output, and setup time. So there's a place to record setup time as well. Okay, Michael says this looks good. Don't have a need for it though, but still looks good. I appreciate that feedback from everybody. And so if this applies to you, by the way, so you know, if this applies to you, the way you can learn more about this is just shoot me an email afterwards, or Ben, and say, hey, I saw this little bit on time entry, and that might apply to us, and we'd like to know more about it. And we'll either set up a one-on-one demo or send you some information. Or if you want pricing on any of these things, certainly don't hold back. Let us know. Okay, quality control. This is number 3 of the 5. Okay, so quality control for testing incoming raw materials or outbound finished goods. So if you have a need, think about this, to test your incoming raw materials. This is before you put it into your manufacturing process. A lot of our manufacturers want to basically inspect their inbound raw materials to be sure that they meet certain quality standards. So you would want to be able to test those and certify them that they are good to be used before you put them into general availability inventory. Or it might be the same for outbound finished goods, that you've produced an item. You want to test it thoroughly before you ship it to a customer. And it has to meet certain customer specifications or internal specifications before you ship the item out. So let's see how that is done in out of the box NAV, and then I'll show you how you do it when you add the quality control add-in from cost control. So I've got these 2 screenshots here, and let me just show them to you live. So I'm going to open up the 2 applications again. Okay, so on the left side, this is the out-of-the-box NAV, and I'll show you where they have quality control information. You may not have known that this even existed. So I'm going to open up a production order here, and I'm going to go to the routing. I'll get to the routing. See, I even get lost when I don't have my normal. Oh yeah, it's down here. Okay, so when I'm on the routing lines, there's this thing called quality measures. Have you ever seen this before? If you click on it, it's going to bring up where you can actually establish a list of certain quality measures and a description, and it can have a minimum value, maximum value, and tolerance. So this is the measures that it's expecting. Let me widen this out, see if there's anything else here. And that's it. So that's all it provides is basically an information set to you as far as if you did do testing, this is the minimum value, maximum value, and mean value for that testing process. So I want to show you the alternative to that, a little more robust quality control system. Let's go over to this database. And the whole thing about quality control is doing a test. So I'm going to open up, and I've actually put it right here on my menu here on the left side, and it's called QC Test List. So it brings up a list of all the items that I have tested, or some are in process, some are certified, that type of thing. Let's just open up one here that's in process. I hope I pick a good one. Yeah, this will work. Okay, so here is, this is test number QCT0007. So this is test number 7. I'm testing part number 5020, and it is a raw material order with lot number. It's a purchased item. If the test is in process, tests can have different statuses to them. Could be new, ready for testing, in process, ready for review. Could be certified, certified with waiver, certified final, rejected, or closed. Multiple test statuses to each one of the tests. This particular one is in process. Okay, and these are the things that we test for. Now think of your own business and your own application. What is it that you would test for? Well, in this case, there's 5 things. We test for appearance, cloudiness, hardness, speed, and clarity. Now you may have more. You may have other things. So let's see what else. You might have density. You might have frequency. You might have the hardness. You might have the height, weight, pH factor, whether it's been plating. I talked to somebody the other day. They check for rust, and so they wanted to have rust as an option here. Tone, weight, height. People test for all sorts of different things, and you will build your own list here of the quality measures that you will do. And then you'll record the test results right in here. So right here it says actual measures. So it's here for this hardness. And notice here is those same lower limit, upper limit, and nominal value. So the nominal value on this thing is 105. So maybe it came out at 106 and you record 106. So you can kind of enter that in here. So that is no problem. That's all non-conformance. Now, if you typed something different, let's say you typed beyond the limit, okay, at 125. Let's go and change this line. So if I made this 126, 26, enter. Okay, the actual measure of 126 for this test is in non-conformance. Do you wish to continue? Well, you may have keyed it wrong, but I'm going to continue, put that in. When I do, I get several warnings here. This goes red over here on the hardness, and I get a message up here on the test that we've got a non-conformance issue on this particular test. So these are the kinds of things that can happen if you need to add quality testing to your software. Now, I want to show one other little thing about this, and that is some of you also need to print what's called a certificate of analysis. The C of A, let me just print this to the screen once. This is a document that's typically signed by the supervisor, and it's going to show the part number and so forth, and then all the tests that would have been done. This one's only got one line item, but it could be 10 or 15 line items, and the test results would all show here, the test values. So it's kind of a document that you would send with the part, your part, to your customer to assure the customer that you've done proper testing on the items that you're sending to them. So now I've only given you a peek here at the quality system. I can't get into all the details, but I would like to hear from you. Let's see, did I close that? I knew I was going to do that today. Let me open that up again. In the question box, type in whether you would use a quality control system if you had it. So would that be helpful to you, yes or no? And just let me know if you think quality is important to you. So Jerry says yes with an exclamation, so that's good. Lisa says yes. That's Liz, sorry, Liz. Victor says yes. Scott says could use parts of this. Okay, so good. And Sean says maybe would need to check with the team. Okay, excellent. So there is a lot of opportunity here for several of you with quality control. Again, another area within the software that you may want to expand. Okay, so that's gap number, that was gap 3. Got 2 more to go, and then we're going to open this up for any kind of last questions you might have. Engineering change management. Have you heard that term before? Oh, Joel says yes too. So good, thank you, Joel. Engineering change management. Being able to kind of control the bill of materials. I find out of the box, there's very little control as who can make changes to the bill of materials, which is a very important part of your business model. So you want to be able to guard who actually can access this. So I'm going to show you a little bit before of how it works out of the box, and then I'm going to show you what is available when you add engineering change management to the software. So let's start with the out of the box. And I'm over here in the, this is an unmodified database. I don't want items. I want to go down to, let's see, product design. And I'm going to go into the bombs, and I'm just going to use, I'll just use this bicycle. Okay. So when you need to make a change to a bill of materials, here's how you do it. You come in, you say, I want to take this off of being certified and put it under development. Then you come down and say, okay, instead of 1 lamp, we're going to have 3 lamps. And so I'm making a slight change here. Then I come back and I certify it, and basically it's done. And I leave. And basically that's open to almost anybody to go in and just freely change the bill of materials. Now, I'm sure the Coca-Cola company does not allow you to go in and change their recipe for how they make Coke, okay? By just going, put it under development, make a change, boom, 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 and it's done. That's a protected recipe, okay? That's your intellectual property. And so you don't want to have people being able to go in and make changes at will. And that's, unfortunately, that's the way it works out of the box. And I'm like, oh my goodness, not good, not good. So we had several people that said, oh, there's got to be a better way to handle that, the ability to make changes. So let me go, and I thought I had it on the menu, but I guess I don't. In fact, we'll just go and do it this way. So I'm going to go into the engineering change management portion of the software, and I'll just show you one of them here, which is the change orders. And we'll just do this first one here, give you an example. So this is a much more regimented methodology of managing and controlling who can make changes to your bills of material. So a change order is going to have a number assigned to it, first of all, and it's going to have an indication of whether it's for a multiple bill of material change or a single bill of material change with this check mark here. If it's multiple, then that tells me that we could be changing. In fact, it shows down here 1, 2. How many do I have? Just 2. I'm changing 2 bills of material, and I'm changing a tube on it. So I'm maybe removing. The action is to remove. So I want to remove the 2 tubes that are on the front wheel and the back wheel. And so that's a change to the bill of materials. Now, you may have a situation where you want to send out an approval request. So it gets a little fancier here. And it basically says, if you want to make a change, I have to send an approval off to the shop foreman or to the manager or somebody that is going to need to approve this change. And once they do approve it, then you can carry out the change and it will automatically affect the bill, those bills of materials. Now it doesn't how to say this properly. When you carry this out, it does it 2 different ways. Depends upon your check marks down here. So I can create a new bill of material version, which is really kind of what I recommend. So if you're creating a new version to your BOM, then you basically say, okay, I'm going to create a new version, and then you carry this thing out and it updates the removal on these 2 bill of materials. Now you may have 20 or 30 where this tube needs to be removed. So you can just then say, carry this out, and it goes. Okay, and then recertify it when you complete. That's checked as well. So that's the process. And you have these lines that you're changing. I won't go into the whole thing here. That's covered in our training materials, but it's makes it so much more manageable, and you're documenting what's going on. You can put in notes and comments as to why you made the changes and so forth. And there's even a kind of a what's called a change request versus a change order. A request is the early upfront looking at that request and so forth. So Michael has already put in, that's pretty slick. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Liz is saying, is the engineering change control, does that come with quality control? No, those are 2 very separate functionalities. So this engineering change management, that's a granule by itself, okay? And the quality control to be able to test your inventory for meeting certain specifications, size, weight, pH factors, things like that. That's a different granule. Okay, these are all 5 different feature sets that I'm showing you here today of that are available to add to your Dynamics NAV software. So everything that I'm showing you here as far as what I consider fixing gaps, this is all about fixing gaps, right? So that was the title of the session today, is we want to go in here and fix these. Where is it? Back here. It's fixing the top 5 gaps. So one of the gaps that I'm showing now is this one on engineering change management. And I put a picture of what you just saw in here about the actions of a replacing or removing. You could add, change, or delete inventory items, and then you carry out, and it then updates and adjusts the bill of materials accordingly. So it's a nice way to really control who's making changes to the software. Okay, so before I go to number 5, which is the last one, let's get a little feedback on ECM. Anybody on the call? We've got 20 of you listening in today. I appreciate everybody taking a little time with cost control software. Would anybody here have an application for using that? Okay. So Victor says, my big unfilled need for BOM changes since the 90s is replacing in the MRP the components by the end of the inventory of old parts. Oh, in other words, when the parts get expired. Yeah, that has been around for some time. I've had other people ask about that, and I haven't really seen any software either that kind of handles that. Bill says absolutely. So thank you, Bill, for the feedback. Hope you like this one for engineering change management. Michael says, what about find and replace? Yep, that's available too. I didn't show that. Rod says this is perfect for the medical device industry. Ah, nice. Okay. Okay. And Rod says need to track all changes. And it does. Keeps a whole history of all the changes, by the way. I didn't show that, but it has a history of everything. And Jason says, I like the more formalized process. That's exactly what I'm showing. Okay, is there a log of the change orders to track who did what and when? Absolutely. We send all these change orders to a history file so you know who approved it, when it was approved. Lots of good statistical information there on these changes with ECM. Okay, thanks guys for your comments. I appreciate it. Okay. Victor says every company I've seen that has regulations in the formulas need some sort of control management. Yeah, Victor, correct. Yeah, especially for formula type people, like my example of the Coca-Cola company needing it. Okay, I want to wrap up with the last pretty major gap that we found actually about 5 years ago, and some of you have heard this already, but we found scheduling of your production orders is a major gap within Dynamics NAV. That there was no way to optimize the shop floor and organize the operations in such a way that you could really expedite delivery of the products to your customers. So I'm going to show you the before screen, and then I'll show you what it looks like when you have a fully embedded and operational scheduling solution. And we recommend Planner 1. So you've maybe heard me talk about Planner 1 before, but I'm going to show you a peek of it here. So let me move this out of the way. And we're done with engineering change management. I'll go back to home here. Okay, so how does the scheduling work without Planner 1? So let's go to a bicycle, and I'll open up the standard form, and then I'm going to go to the routing. I always have trouble finding the routing because it's not on the menu. So here is the routing. So, okay, these are the operational steps in this very simple one. It's Work Center 100, Machine Center 120, 130, and 110. So it's wheel assembly, chain assembly, final assembly, and then probably quality control testing here. These are the dates that have been assigned by Microsoft when you ran the when you created the new production order. It creates these dates. Have you ever studied how these dates are calculated? It's kind of interesting. It takes, out of the box, it takes this date, 1/30, and then says, I'm going to add 1 day of grace period to it. So the thing should finish on 1/30, not the 31st. Then it starts to back up. It goes boom, 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 calculates to come up with the starting date of the first operation. And all of that date arithmetic, is based on these setup times and run times and the quantities that you're producing. So it does this kind of they call it a backward calculation from the finish date to come up with a start date. So it's just going through these numbers and coming up with when it says you should start. But there's one flaw here, and this is a big flaw. And that is, it assumes that these work centers or machine centers have infinite capacity, and they don't. There's no way. Okay, and there may be other operations scheduled on machine 120 on this same date. This calculation here does not take that into consideration. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but it's a pretty big deal. So it's going to go in here and calculate this thing, and it's adding this, it's coming up with these dates. Now, let me show you the alternative to this. So the better way to do it is a forward calculation. So you come into your production orders, and let me go to, which one did I want to show you here today? Hold on. I guess it really doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to go to one of these production orders, and I'll show you real quick here. the alternative. So I'm going to bring up a finished good number 101. I'm making 100 on this date. Now, these are the dates that NAV has calculated, but when you add in Planner 1, you get some additional dates. You get production starting date and production ending date based on forward and finite scheduling. Forward and finite. In other words, if you start today, when could you get this job out the door? And if there's sub-assemblies, you've got to do the sub-assembly first. That's why you see this date here. Then it can jump to this one and to the finish of that production order. So what we need to kind of look at is, what does that look like graphically? So if I slide down just a little bit more here on screen, I want you to see basically a Gantt chart view of this production order. Think how nice this would be for you. If you actually could see this production order and all these dates and forward scheduled and optimized for you, so that it goes, here's machine 410, and goes boom, 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 and it tries to put them sequentially. And of course it's using, Matthew's already asking me, can you use the capacity constrained resource? Absolutely. That's what it's doing. It's constraining these resources, your resources that you've set up, the work centers or your resources, okay, based on the calendars on those work centers, and then it kind of visually puts it into the timeline up here on the this is the timeline. Now these purple ones, this is the one that's in process. These are other production orders that are also assigned to machine 120 and 130. Let me show you one other view. This view right here on the production order, it's kind of nice, but that's just this one production order. You may want to actually see all production orders across the plant. And that's this view here, Planner 1 Production Scheduler. So let me open up this view. It's just a little different look and feel. This is, got a filter must be on here. Okay, so this is a little different view. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Here we go. So here is your machine centers down the left side, machine centers or work centers, depending. Your calendar is up here. The white bars are the working periods. The gray bars are probably your weekends, the non-working periods, all how you defined it when you set up your machine center and work center capacities. So it's looking at those capacities. And then these are the operations that have been optimized. Now, some software just displays the way Microsoft presents it, and then you have to visually drag and drop things. This has rules embedded internally that optimizes the schedule for you. It kind of makes some determination based on the rules that you apply as far as when these different operations should be occurring. And it literally makes the shop floor run as efficiently as possible. Now, a couple other things I'll just show you. If you want to see the network here of this operation, you can highlight that and see that, okay, this operation looks like that's operation 50. It's pretty small on your screen, I realize that. Here is the this is where it looks like it started up here, then it comes down here. So you can actually see the flow of the other related operations associated with each of the production orders. So it really is a very visual and graphical display. You have the standard abilities to do some actions such as moving. If you want to move or do a fixed date move, you can literally, let me just see if I can show you this real quick. So if I want to come in here and say I want to move this one, it's a drag and drop, and you can lock it down so it's going to start on this date. A lot of controls. And if you're interested in this one, this is my number 5 gap. This is a big one, guys. If you think you have an application for a visual scheduling tool for your business, I want you to call me and I can help you get this installed and set up. There is some training involved. There is a little process to do it. Scott, you're on there. I want you to get this going. So these are all the things that you can do, and it's all tied back to what you have on your production order. So you're already doing this. You're already setting up a production order, or at least you should. Okay, you have a production order. You've already done this. You've already got a routing. So this is in here. The dates are there. The work centers are there. Everything is there that the scheduling tool needs to take this data and display it visually instead of tabular view like this, just a list of these dates. I mean, that's hard to read. Whereas you can, when you see it visually in this kind of layout, this is called a Gantt chart view. It's just much easier to understand and follow and make adaptations to, or whatever you have to make changes to. So this is a potential gap in NAV, and I hope you want to fill this gap. And it's called Planner 1, and I would love to show this to you. This and any of these five different gaps that we know are out of the box, that it just doesn't have some of these goodies. Okay, let me go back to the study guide. And everybody wants to know, oh, Rick, how much does all this software cost? Okay, so here's how you find out how much all this software costs. So I'm going to show you our website. So let me bring up a, okay, so here's Google, and I've got our cost control. It's just called costcontrolsoftware.com. That's our company, if you haven't ever been to this website. But scroll down just a little bit, and right here, there is a catalog. So you just click here to download our product catalog. I'm very open about our pricing. Okay, no secrets here. So if you are interested in any of these products, you just kind of click here and you can download the catalog. Now, if there's something more specific that you want to see, let's say you saw that quality control, you can come to our website specific to quality control. And from here, you can download a brochure. You can watch another more specific video. This was a very short show and tell today. But there's a specific video on quality control. I encourage you to watch that, as well as you can download what we call our workflow guide, which is the user manual for quality control, and we share that with you as well. We share as much as we possibly can other than the software. We do ask you to purchase the software for installation in your business. Okay, so I've shown you today 5 very I think exceptional add-ons for Microsoft Dynamics NAV that fill these gaps. Now there's others, but I wanted to at least give you a taste of these potentials today. Okay, let me put my contact information back up there one more time. Again, my name is Rick Baxter, Cost Control Software, and I'm located in Carmel, Indiana. Stop by if you're ever in town. Call me and we'll have lunch. We have all sorts of training materials on our academy. This is the additional resources. Our website, I've put this in here as well. And the replay of this webinar will be sent to you by Ben probably within a day or so if you have somebody else that would be interested in seeing this. If you like it, if you have questions, email me, email Ben. We'll get in touch and we'll set up a one-on-one time. Hope you like this. If you'd like to put in a comment on your way out, say, yeah, this was good stuff. I learned a lot. Joel's already done that. Thank you, Joel. And head out soon. Okay. So that's it for today, guys. We'll see you next week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.